All right, so should you be using Google Ads and Google advertising or social media advertising? As a family law firm, this is a question I get all the time. And so first, what I want to break down is what are the differences between social media ads and then Google ads or Google advertising in general. So SEO, local service ads, pay-per-click, all that good stuff, right? There are two very different types of advertising. So first is we have demand generation. What the heck does that mean, right? When we're on Facebook and we're scrolling, we're looking at family and friends, or we're on Instagram or we're seeing some crazy new trend, an ad will pop in front of our face, and that ad is designed to generate demand from us. Now, we might be in market for that product, or we might not be, depending on how good your targeting is, but you're trying to create demand around your services, so around divorce or custody or domestic violence, whatever it is, right? You're trying to get their attention, get them off platform onto your website. So that's why we call it demand generation. Now, that type of advertising can be very effective, but just think about how people are interacting on the platform. They're having fun, and we're trying to take them away from having fun. So it works if it's done correctly, but you have to really know what you're doing. Now, the easier type of advertising, and I'm a huge fan of this, is you're meeting a demand, right? So think about when you need a plumber. You're gonna say, Google plumber near me, and then you're gonna click one of the top ads or one of the top listings, and you're gonna call that plumber because I already have a need. My toilet just broke and I need this plumber now. The same exact thing applies to your family law firm. When I have just had a fight with my wife, can't take it anymore at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and Google divorce attorney near me, or the best divorce attorney, or divorce attorney in Tampa, which is where I'm located. And I'm gonna click one of those ads or one of the listings at the top of the page, and I'm gonna begin the customer journey. I'm gonna call, I'm gonna fill out a form, so on and so forth. The dynamic here is what's important, right? On social media, I was interrupted, and maybe they got my attention at the right time, at the right moment, right? But here, I came to them, right? I walked into their office. It's way better to have that type of dynamic to start when you first start advertising rather than going out and trying to create demand. So those are the two differences that you have as far as options. And so when people say you should be using social media or you should be using Google Ads, what type of lead dynamic do you prefer in your firm? So now we're gonna talk a little bit more about these types of ads, right? First, I'm gonna give you some definitions. A lot of people talk about click-through rate, right? And what click-through rate is when someone clicks your ad divided by the total number of impressions. You're probably like, what the heck does that mean, right? Let me show you what that looks like functionally. So this is a Google Ads search result page. When I Google divorce attorney near me, I'm gonna see these listings, right? If I scroll down, I got an ad here, I got an ad here, I have an ad here, and down here, I have Google business profile, right? So this is the basics of a search results page. Now, before I've done anything, I have given these people an impression. So I haven't clicked this ad at all yet, but right now they're getting an impression in their Google Ads platform. Now, if I were to click that ad, it would register that as a click, and how it would calculate their click-through rate is it would divide my number of clicks by the total number of impressions. Now, generally, per 100 impressions on Google Ads, you're gonna get around a 2 to 3% click-through rate. It can be higher if you say something crazy in the ad or if you have a really cool offer, but generally 2 to 3% is the magic number here. Now, when you do Google Ads, you only pay per click, right? So if you get an impression, you're not paying the platform yet, you're just paying for the click. That's a big, big important thing. And so if you're curious, generally one of those clicks is gonna cost you around $15 to $25, depending on the state you're in. It could cost significantly more than that if you're in a really competitive state. So how does this type of click-through rate differ from Facebook's click-through rate, for example? Let's go over to Facebook and I'll show you the differences. So this is one of our clients' ads, and we run video ads for her. Now, how Facebook charges you is they charge you per 1,000 impressions. So every time this ad is seen 1,000 times, they're gonna charge Hembry Bell Law roughly $20 to $40 per 1,000 impressions. So click-through rate matters a lot more on these platforms because I'm gonna pay for eyeballs no matter what. So I want the most clicks that I could possibly get. So that way my click cost is lower. With Google Ads, we deal with a fixed cost per click no matter what. So if we have a good ad or a bad ad, it's not gonna affect our costs very much, and we're still gonna get that heavy demand flow. With Facebook or social media advertising, what's gonna happen is If I write a really compelling ad or I call out my ideal customer, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pay for the same 1,000 impressions, except now I might get double the clicks, triple the clicks, quadruple the clicks, and my cost per lead is now gonna be a lot lower. So when we deal with demand generation advertising, click-through rate matters a lot more than it does on meeting a demand. And a lot of people get this confused. So when you're optimizing your ad headlines, you wanna be sure to understand who your ideal client is, how can you call them out, and how can we really get attention on these platforms, which is generally why video does so well, is because it gets attention because it's moving, right? So if you're writing headlines, I'm gonna talk more about how to write the best headlines for each type of advertising. So how do you write a good demand generation headline or a good social media headline and ad copy? Generally, what you wanna do is you want to call out your ideal prospect. So for example, what we do for divorce attorneys is we will say, attention men with kids, attention men considering divorce with kids, right? It's a very specific person. And what this does is it weeds out the people we don't want to talk to. So we save money there, and it really hones in on the people we do want to talk to. And so a really good example of this, think about mass market advertising like pharmaceutical companies. When they run a Super Bowl commercial, they're paying millions of dollars for that commercial, and they will say, attention people with fibromyalgia. That's a tiny percentage of the population. But what happens is when they say that on the ad, everybody who doesn't have fibromyalgia just tunes it out, which is fine, and everybody with it is all of a sudden like, oh, they're talking to me, right? So when you write an ad on social media, you want to call out your ideal prospect, and you want to say something that's attention getting, something that's crazy or something that's really relevant to them. And so generally what I will do is I will usually call out my ideal prospect, and I'll try and describe their situation to them so they really resonate with the ad, right? It's a really good way to get their attention. Now, when you write an ad on Google, let me show you what that looks like. So when you write an ad on Google, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of elements here at play. How I like to describe this whole process is picture a dog chasing down a criminal, right? They're gonna give them something of the criminals. Let's say they have this, which is convenient, right? Like, let's say they have the guy's hat. They let the dog smell the hat, right? That's the first part of the scent trail. Now from there, the dog is gonna go sniffing, and as long as the criminal has left a nice little trail, he's gonna follow that trail all the way to whoever he's chasing, right? And this is exactly how your prospects hunt you down. So what they start with is a search, right? Divorce attorney near me. So this search has some elements that are important, right? Number one, I'm looking for a divorce attorney. Number two, I'm looking for someone near me. And Google already knows that I'm in Land O'Lakes, Florida, right? This is very important for how these ads are written. Now, the first ad we see here is Marble.com. They did an excellent job writing this ad. I want to call out some elements. Number one, they called out my location right away. So already the scent trail is alive on this ad. I've honed in on this particular ad because it already knows where I am and it calls it out right away. Number two, the second part of my search query here is divorce attorney, and you can see that they say divorce attorneys. They're giving me exactly what I asked for in this ad. And then they have a chance to spice it up a little bit more. No retainers or hourly billing. That's a pretty strong value proposition because we're always afraid that our divorce bill is going to be through the roof. And so if they're not billing me hourly, maybe this is flat rate. This is pretty cool, right? I know this is not the ideal scenario for a lot of firms, but this is what they're doing and this is who you're competing against. And then you're gonna write some more stuff in here. So they're gonna hit on some emotions, but in Google Ads, we only have 90 characters in these descriptions. So take control of your case and get peace of mind, right? Land O'Lakes legal, again, they call out Land O'Lakes. Then they throw in their star rating. That helps with click-through rate. And then they're gonna have file for divorce, alimony spousal support, alimony, child support, right? They're just kind of hitting some highlights. You can't do a lot of talking in these ads because you only have limited characters. But what you can do is you can keep the scent trail alive. Now, sometimes people like to say crazy things in these ads like, is she sleeping with him right now, right? That's great. You're gonna get maybe a higher click-through rate, but I prefer to keep the relevance really, really high. Google is built all on relevance. Now, when I click this ad, if the landing page was doing a good job, it would say exactly this same stuff on the landing page to keep that scent trail alive even more. We're not talking about landing pages now, but that's the ideal scenario. So really quick, I want to touch on the math again behind a click-through rate on Facebook and a click-through rate on Google. So let's say that we're running Google ads, right? And we get 100 clicks. And each one of these clicks costs $10 per click. right? We're gonna pay $1,000 for these 100 clicks, no matter what, right? It doesn't matter how many people saw our ad. We could have 10 million impressions. We're still only gonna pay $1,000 because we're getting charged per click. Now, on the flip side of this, when we're talking about Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, right, we're gonna pay per 1,000 impressions, right? I'm gonna put IMP here for impressions. So let's just say that we had 5 clicks off of this. We're still gonna pay for the impressions. In this case, it's probably around 20 to 30 bucks. Let's just call it 30 bucks, right? Now, let's say that we write a killer ad. If we write a killer ad and we get 100 clicks, we're still gonna pay the same $30, but we're gonna get, what is that math? I'm really slow right now. 25 times more, no, 20 times more clicks, right? So 20 times more the output for the same amount of money on the impressions. And this is why this type of advertising requires more experienced copywriters, better video assets, better creative, because it can drive the cost down significantly. Doesn't matter as much here, matters a whole lot here. So if you have questions about any of this stuff, feel free to comment down below. We're happy to answer any questions.